Did you realize that we actually have more than one brain in our body? No? Well, today's guest is going to teach us all about your gut brain, an amazing connection that not only affects how you respond to food, how you think about food, how food impacts your life, but how your gut brain actually can influence so many different areas of your life and outlook. Curious to know more? Well, stay tuned because today's guest has all the answers.
Welcome back to the Rocking Midlife Podcast. And I have a wonderful guest for you today coming all the way from Minnesota. And I know that this lady is really going to blow you away. And I will be welcoming Shirley Billigmeier. So welcome, Shirley. Thanks so much. And you've pronounced that very well. Oh, good. I was getting a little concerned there. I told her I'd probably be overthinking it and it would come out wrong. So I'm thrilled I got it right. Now, Shirley is an incredible lady. We've just been having a little bit of a chat, and I actually said to her, we need to just stop and press record because there's too much gold already. But in a nutshell, she is the CEO of Innergetics, and she talks a lot about boosting energy and confidence through the gut-brain connection. Now, I heard a lot about the gut-brain connection while I was doing my life coaching training, and I had no idea that it was such an impactful thing on how we eat, on our health, on everything we do. And Shirley is not just someone who knows about it. She's written an amazing book called Inner Eating with a foreword from a Mayo Clinic doctor. She's researched, she's knowledgeable, she's respected, and is an absolute honor to have her here with us today. So, Shirley, I think the easiest thing is tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get here and how did you end up writing a book on this particular subject?
Yeah, everybody wants to know how in the world did I figure this out? Because it really is the permanent solution to eating and weight issues without drugs or without those rules of eating. And as I was growing up, I was a cheerleader. I always wanted to be maybe 15, 20 pounds less than I was, and I could lose it. But there was always that internal angst like, is it going to stay off? What if I eat too much? Is it going to come back again? And that generally it would come back again. I'd go try another diet. Okay, going to cut out this or I cut out that. And that whole angst, that's what I was frustrated with. I thought, this just doesn't make sense. And that angst followed me all the way through college and into my teaching years. And when I watched the junior high students, I thought, they have more angst than I do. And it's robbing their life. It's taking away from their joy of living in their bodies. They're obsessing about what they ate, what they didn't eat. And they have enough issues to deal with. As a 13-year-old, as a teenager, I thought, you know what? After I was teaching, I thought, I'm going to figure this out once and for all. So my undergraduate and graduate were both from the University of Minnesota. And at that time, I thought maybe I'll go out and do a PhD. But way back in the 70s, you couldn't just do a multitude of subjects. You had to be more self-focused. And that was a turning point for me because I thought, no, I'm going to figure this out once and for all. I'd watch my husband and we'd eat, we'd sit down for dinner and he'd, get up. No, nobody's thought of it. He didn't have any direct feeling like, oh, did I eat too much? And I thought, that's really interesting. It drags in my head. Now, when I had our first child, I went, oh my word, we're born with our eating boundaries. Those little infants, they have no knowledge of nutrition. They have no idea what their diaper size is, and they could care less. They really could care less. And they have no idea what they should eat, what they shouldn't eat, but they know when they're hungry, and they tell you without even a voice. They
That's
want to
true.
eat.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then they have, you watch them, and guess what? They have real strong feelings of if they like the food or if they don't, they'll let you know. But the biggest thing is they have a strong stop. They will throw it. They will spit it. Their stop is strong. And why do they have the strong stop? Because that hunger feel has gone away. So they think, I'm done. I'm done. And people always ask me, where did my stop go? So I wanted to figure out why we had lost our eating boundaries. That was the start of my journey to really understand. And it wasn't outside. It wasn't out in the world. It was inside. And I went deep inside and I thought, okay, I know hunger. I know we're not supposed to have storage, which is my term for fat, because the storage is for a famine. So I knew he was to have the extra weight. And so I thought there's a reason why I was meant to understand this, because I could go deep inside and really feel my hunger. It didn't scare me. I wanted to understand it. I wanted to go deep inside. And really what I was doing, I was going deep inside my gut brain. And that's where all the answers were. And I went, oh my word, we are on the wrong track. And I also knew that choice was key, because all of that other stuff was just chatter that interfered with what I was feeling inside. So that's what started my entire journey. And because I'm a teacher at heart, I thought, you could hear that, okay, hunger is the start of eating. And when you're no longer hungry, stop. If everybody could do that, we would have no issues.
That's true.
But why doesn't it work? Why do you feel like, when you ate when you weren't hungry, you had failed? That was where the learning comes in. And that's where I started creating a course, so that every moment you really understood why you had any kind of desire to eat when you weren't hungry.
Wow, thanks so much. I don't know any woman, I think, that wouldn't relate to your story of being conscious about size as a teenager. I know it was always on my mind, and I was a performer, I was a musician, that whenever I was on stage, I was always so conscious of feeling like a big heifer compared to the tiny little dancers that had come up out the front, things like that. I think it's something that so many of us, it's just been an issue all of our lives. And it's true, we look to all the externals, don't we? Well, okay, I'll try the Atkins, I'll try this, I'll try that, whatever. But you're saying it's something totally different, and that the gut is connected to our brain. Now, that's something we're starting to hear about these days, but can you explain that a little bit more? Like, we're used to looking to, like we mentioned before, pills and potions or drugs or whatever else. What's different about going inwards? How can that change something that's, drives us so hard?
Yeah. People never really labeled how you had to feel. But remember when you'd say, oh, I just had a feeling, or butterflies in my stomach, or I just kind of knew. Where did all that information come from? It came from your gut brain. How did that infant know when to start eating? How did that infant know when that food wasn't quite right for them? How did those infants know that? We are born with over 10,000 taste buds. They're inside our whole gut. There's so much information housed in our gut brain. In fact, now they know there are 9 messages to 1, from the gut to the head versus the head to the gut.
Okay, hang on. Say that again. That's a little mind-boggling. So the gut is basically causing more messages in the brain.
Oh, many more messages. 9 to 1. So if you cut yourself off of the neck and are just living in your head, you're missing 90% of the information. Of
Wow.
what your body is trying to tell you. And I know you've heard of the words wisdom of the body. But how do we do that? That wisdom is housed in your gut brain. It's there. And that's when the infant knows, okay, that doesn't taste good. Well, those taste buds inside the gut are giving that infant a ton of information. And when that hunger feel gone away, guess what? The infant wants to stop. There's information coming from the gut brain. Or if you had a feeling, and I'm sure you've had that mindset, I just had a feeling. Where did that come from? From the gut brain. And guess what? Your eating boundaries, and this is key, is how they're housed in your gut brain. Otherwise, that infant wouldn't know what foods were right for the infant. The infant would know when to start and stop eating. All the eating boundaries are in the gut brain. When we leave those eating boundaries and end up in our head, there are no boundaries there. Now we have to think about eating. Now we have to analyze eating. Now we have to listen to the research out there, because we've left our own boundaries. And when you think about all the research out there, this is interesting. It changes. Have you ever heard something is good and the next research says it's not so good?
Yeah, that's right. It's always changing. Yep.
Think about how frustrating it would be to think you're going to follow the research. So I said, the research isn't wrong. They have all the stats for it. But Why does it keep changing? Because the research is studying people. And whatever group of people that research is studying, that's the results of the research. Now, if you read research and it says shrimp is healthy, but you eat it and you break out, who's the ultimate authority? Yes, you are. You're right. So I teach people how to access their own wisdom from the moment they start working with me. I never tell them what to eat, and I never ask them their weight.
Wow.
Because we are going to work on the source of the issue, because there's so much judgment. And think about this. If I'm having you trying to listen to your body and you hate your size and weight, or you've got all these rules of what you should and shouldn't eat, all that chatter interferes with the wisdom. So my job is not to put another plant on top of you. It's to erase the interference so that you can really, truly listen and start developing confidence of what you want to eat that feels good to you, which is health, that allows you to have the energy within your body, and you love being in your body and listening. That's where we go.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And it is so different, isn't it, to the diet culture that we're so used to, where it's all external. Yes, eat this, do this, all those things. Obviously, we can't sum up your whole programming. One or two questions, and that wouldn't do it justice anyhow. But how does that start? How do you start with getting somebody to be able to filter that chatter, to be able to hear their own gut brain?
You have to be very, very aware that you're starting to eat. Because think how many times you walk past the counter, you grab this, you grab that, and you'll remember in the day how many times you pick this, pick that cleaned out plate here, and grab the little, just grab an extra here or whatever. You just don't remember, and half the time you're not even aware. So I start with everybody sitting before they start to eat, because it's a very concrete awareness. You know when you're sitting. You know that you have stopped your movement in your day. Once you sit, you're very aware that you are sitting. So that starts creating the awareness. And then I have what I call a recording card, where I just have them say that they're actually sitting. So I put that hand to paper just to say they're sitting, not what they're eating. I don't want to know what you're eating. I want you to be able to feel what foods feel right to you. I'm not living in your body. And choice of what you eat is your identity. What sustains your life is who you are. Whoever owns the choice owns the power. I want to empower my clients. So I start with choice, but we've got to create some boundaries, because then when I open up choice, people kind of like panic, because they think, oh my word, that was somewhat of my boundaries. It was like a false feeling of a boundary. Oh, I can't eat this. And then, okay, you have the rules over here. And then all of a sudden you're out of the rules. You think, okay, I'll start again on Monday. But I start with total choice. So there isn't that feeling like, oh, I'm going to keep eating it because I'm not supposed to be eating it. I will start on Monday, so I'll just keep eating it now. And you can hear all the chatter that goes on in your head. So first you have that strong awareness that you're sitting. Before you start to eat, you sit first. And what's fascinating, people think, oh, that's so easy. And then all of a sudden they realize they're standing in front of the refrigerator, they open it up, and they're going to flop something in their mouth. They went, oh my word, I'm not sitting. It's awareness. So I say, just imagine taking all the food out that you're eating that you weren't sitting. Would you take out extra food? And the next thing I have people do, so that you are very, very aware, is while you're eating, you do nothing else. Well, I might just be bored just eating. I thought, you've been ready to eat, enjoy the taste. I want people to enjoy the taste of their food. This whole process is about recapturing the joy of eating. And that's part of it, with total and complete choice. Because the only way you're going to get to a body that you love, that you feel good in, that you feel calm in, that you love being there, is through total and complete choice. And then I get that reaction like, oh my word, if I ate whatever I want, I'd be 300 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we create these boundaries through just being aware. And it's like a whole system. And that's the whole recording card I do. So that I use that as boundaries, so they feel very confident and very safe through the very beginning of this conversation. Because what happens is when you restricted yourself so much and then all of a sudden you open the floodgates,
It's like a rebound effect. You think you'd just totally lose control, wouldn't you?
yes, because I need to have you be able to own the start and stop every food, every single food, every group of food, so that the start and the stop creates the boundary. And that's how I work through that whole process. But it's a very detailed process to ensure that you feel confident and you go, oh, and there's never a time where you fail, because every time that you are standing while you're eating, you kind of mark, it's like a slash mark. That's all. Just that you know you're standing. Okay, what happened? Why was I standing? Oh, I was in a rush. I thought I don't have time. Just sit and eat. And then my clients will hear me say, if you don't have time to just sit and eat, you don't have time to eat.
Wow. I love it. It's like raising children, I guess, isn't it? Because we give them boundaries. We give them boundaries to keep them safe. And they're not actually restrictive as far as they get to do everything, but in a safe way. And I think having boundaries that we have partnered in placing, that's really empowering, rather than having rules thrust at us about eating plans and whatever else. It's a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah. When you bring up the children, because I had just finished working with a young woman, a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old. And she was just in awe because she worked at trying to really get the weight off from the pregnancies or whatever. And as she worked through the process, the weight kind of went off. Like, she realized it just kind of as a byproduct, because that was what was so amazing to her. Because when I remove the eating that's out of order, that you don't need, you start using your own thoughts and actions to handle life. So it becomes empowering. She said, I'm learning from my 1-year-old.
Isn't that amazing? We've just overcomplicated so many things, haven't we? Just with our rules and regulations and beating ourselves up and everything. When you're learning to hear that, it's going to affect more than just what you put in your mouth, though, isn't it? It's going to affect your whole life. Have you really seen that happening with a lot of your clients? Like, life is really flowered for them?
Yeah, every one of them. Because when out of order, it hazes your life and it takes away from your life. And when it puts back in order, it gives back your life and it takes the curtain off. It's like you see the reality, you're feeling the messages. And so eventually, like when people talk about anxiety or stress or whatever, where do you feel that? And that's where people start feeling it. They feel it in their gut. All of a sudden they're realizing, oh, there's information there. So I end up shifting that word anxiety and stress, over all of those words that we're so used to hearing, to a message. There's a message that's starting to surface. There's a message that we need to pay attention to. So all of those messages, and that becomes like, that brings your identity. That's kind of who you are. So it starts to surface. And there's so many things that come from within the gut brain. And then I start working on, and this gets a little bit more complicated, but I start working on value-based beliefs and non-value-based beliefs. And I can give you an example for food. A non-value-based belief, which maybe many of you grew up with, where food is concerned, is you need to finish your food. That's non-respect to the internal physical body, because it doesn't take into account how is that body feeling. And that's why maybe people feel bad if they don't finish their food, or they start feeling that hunger feel, and then they want to keep eating, and they know they're going past this hunger number that I work with, and they realize, why is it so hard to stop? Then we figure out, because you might have been punished if you didn't finish your food, or you had to sit there until your food was finished, or it's the poor children in whatever country your parents said. And I'll never forget when a client, or when I was doing some seminars, and one of the guys says, yeah, Shirley, this finally makes sense. I have never figured out why my stomach has helped any kid in any other country.
I know. We used to hear that one too, about starving children in wherever, as you must eat what's on your plate. It's incredible, isn't it? We've really shut that communication line down in our own bodies, haven't we? So we've just, absolutely nullified it. Now, it's interesting because just before we pressed record, you and I touched on the subject of Ozempic. And I can imagine that the ramifications for Ozempic are far more than just the physical damage. It would be the whole, I guess, overriding of this gut brain. Would that be right? Is that one of your concerns about it?
Yes, that's how I see it. And it's because they don't feel hunger. They don't feel the triggers of hunger. And that's all housed within the gut brain. And I just look at that as like in the clients that I work with is like, oh my word, they just buried a pot of gold. And and all of that information is really important information. So I am just not a proponent of any kind of drugs. It's like this is your home. You're living in your body. You want to know what's housed within your body. You want to understand what's driving your bus. There may be a non-value based belief of life. Like I can't really choose what I want to do because it might not make somebody happy. Or, there's many value-based beliefs that surface. There was one that I just worked with. She was out of London and she realized she had a voice with males because her father honored her. She didn't have a voice with females. She couldn't say what she really wanted. There was a non-value-based belief about voice of a female.
Wow. That's amazing, isn't it? Just you think you're talking about weight loss, but it's actually nothing to do with that, is it? It's all about learning to listen to your body again on so many levels. And the other thing you'd mentioned too was when I asked about microbiome prior to pressing record too, this is why I need to just press record in future right from the get-go. You're saying that all affects it as well, and that we don't need all these millions of supplements and things. Could you just expand on that a little bit too, please?
Because the body, when it's respected and treated well and listened to, it's a beautiful system. It's an unbelievable system. And we just bury that information. So, people don't end up needing to do probiotics. So the body's kind of naturally meant to do that. But when you talked about like weight loss, that's the byproduct. Like feeling health, like how do you feel? That's what's key is how you feel. And the weight loss, as I create these boundaries around eating and put eating back in order, that's basically what my rest has done, is takes off the interference, puts eating back in order. If you ate only, let's say, a hunger scale, and I'm going to practices now, and you can do it also. Yeah. Eat on a scale from 0 to 10, 0 starved, 10 stuffed, 5 the feeling of nothingness, meaning there's no feeling of hunger, and you're not the least bit crowded. And if you put your mind in your stomach right now, would you be a 0, like starving, like your stomach's growling and starving? Or would you be at a 10 where you're so stuffed you're feeling uncomfortable? Or would you be at a 5, the feeling of nothingness? You're not hungry and you're not crowded. What number?
I'm getting a bit hungry, so I'd probably be about a 3 to a 4.
Yeah, you knew it like that.
Yeah.
You knew it like that. We all know it. We just stopped listening. But you knew it immediately. That's why once I describe it, 3 or 3, so get really fine-tuned. And they said, well, she'll end up about 3.5. I knew I was just finished working with a young woman today, and she said, it's fine. I'm so clear. And it happens instantly because there's nothing interfering. There's nothing interfering with me getting the message where I am. That's why an infant. It's like I take you back to what you already own. I just take out the interference, give you back total choice, so you can really choose what you want that feels good to you, not only just tastes good, but feels good. So I combine all of that so your whole body, when you walk away from that act of eating, you've chosen what you want that feels good to you, you haven't overeaten, it gives you energy. When eating is in order, it gives you energy. When it's out of order, it drains your energy. And your body and your food, think about this. If you woke up tomorrow morning and your body and the food you were going to eat were all going to give you energy to handle your day, how great would that be without that angst, without that worry of size and weight, without the worry, am I eating the right thing? What do I do? What if I eat this? What if I eat that? What if I overeat? Now I've eaten too much. Now I've starved myself. Oh my word, I don't care. I give up. I don't care. I'm just going to eat. I'll start eating on Monday.
I'm no good. I'm no good. Yep, I'm no good. All of that. Wow, it's so liberating, isn't it? And just,
it's empowering. Yes, it's a feeling of freedom
mm-hmm.
and empowerment. And eating is easy. We all know how to chew, eat, and swallow. When I put eating in order, it's life that's complex. But when we use it out of order, it feels like, oh, if I just had this eating issue, life would be so easy. That's out of order.
That's so true. It's easy. That is so true. One little question for you, it just came to mind. Menopause, because obviously menopause is a huge thing that women at midlife go through. And for some, it's bigger than others, but it's going to affect all your hormones. It's going to affect how you feel emotionally, physically. Have you worked with clients who have been dealing with menopause while still trying to learn to listen to their brain gut? How did they get around that?
Yeah. Well, the thing with menopause, the body forces you to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
So it's just saying, listen to me. And maybe you haven't listened until, you hit menopause. And all of a sudden there's all this information. Yes, I work through that all the time. It's just more information. And I went through menopause and it's fine. And I'm 74 years old. So
Okay, hang on. Stop. You're how old? 74. You look amazing. Okay, so folks who are listening into the podcast, you need to get off your podcast app, get over to YouTube and have a gander, all right? Because Shirley is stunning and exudes energy. So definitely if ever there was a situation of I'll have what she's having, it's playing out right here, right in front of us. You look amazing, Shirley.
thank you. That's very, very kind of you. But it's like all of that size and weight and what you ate, what you didn't eat, what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, and all that stuff. That was a drain of my energy, that angst. I wanted to get rid of that angst. And when I realized what I was doing, I was tapping into the gut brain way back then. Thinking, we're supposed to be calm. When you think about the gut brain, you think about the parasympathetic and sympathetic. The parasympathetic is the calm. We're supposed to be calm. Well, if you hate your size and weight, and you're frustrated about what you're eating, you're constantly in that angst in your body. You're constantly in a fight or flight, and the body can't ever get back to that calm. So I would think you'd be exhausted. It's like when people start working with me, they're exhausted. They've had it with all the programs, trying to do this, trying to do that. So it just ends up giving you energy. It ends up giving you time, and you just have more energy to live life.
And you can just get through menopause that much easier, I'm presuming, because you've got these boundaries because your body's been listened to. You're eating healthy, you're full of energy, and I can imagine that would just make the process so much better. That's incredible.
Eating healthy, because I always have to say, because I've always said, healthy choices to me, it's an oxymoron. Because until you eat it and how you feel, it's not a healthy choice for you. If the choices are coming from outside of you, you're eating it because someone told you needed to eat it, versus eating it and then you decide, oh, that made me feel good. Now it's healthy for you. But if you're following somebody else's rules and you haven't really felt how the food feels to you, now it's going to start interfering with your feel of your own body, because you're thinking, oh, I really shouldn't eat that. Oh, I really better have this. Oh, I better have more of this. I better have so many grams of this, so many grams of that. I mean, the static would be mind-boggling to use your brain. We're meant to use our brain to live our life.
Yes. Gosh, you're making me just flash back to how many hours of my life have I worried about all those things you just said when you could just be living life. That's mind-boggling. Wow. It's such a powerful message, and it just needs to get out to the younger generations so that they don't lose the time that we lost.
Yeah. I let people start at 70 because it's like, put all that frustration aside so that in this moment, you can start at any moment. For somebody that's 80 now, and she started working with me after she retired, and had she not done that, she said, oh my word, I can't even imagine where I would be.
Yeah.
Because now she's 80 and no storage, and spends her time living her life and enjoying
How wonderful.
and enjoying.
Yeah.
And she used to be lactose intolerant until we cleared out a whole lot of non-value-based beliefs. Now she loves her ice cream.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible. Shirley, we could go forever, but we can't. But I want people to know, where is the best place for them to find you?
They can find me on my website, and they can put their name and email in there and sign up for a free consultation. If they want to learn just a little bit more, they can do that. My website is Innergetics, and it's INNER, not EN. It's INNERGETICS.
Innergetics.com. Okay, so everybody listening in, please check the show notes below, because I'll make sure that link is there. A free consultation. My goodness, you'd be crazy not to grab that. So just what a wonderful offer. Shirley, mind-boggling. You're certainly a woman before your time with the knowledge that you've been developing over all these years. And I know that just the little bits you've shared today are already going to be just sparking little moments of freedom, I think, for many of the women listening in, because we've all been so conditioned to not listening to ourselves, of taking on all these rules and disordered thinking and eating and everything. And it's absolutely powerful what you're doing. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today. It's been fabulous to talk to you.
Well, thanks so much, Kat. And you can tell I just love talking about it. I just wish everybody would I want to be able to be free of it.
Yeah.
To really live your life, and eating, it should be a joy. It should be, a joyful experience, not a painful experience. In your body, living in your body should be a joyful feel. It's your home. We've been living there for so long.
Absolutely spot on. Doesn't say it any better than that. And that is the word, isn't it? Freedom. Your whole thing is about freedom. And wow, brilliant. Okay, everybody, please make sure to like and leave some comments. Let us know what you are thinking, what came to your mind listening to this conversation with Shirley. Whatever you do, make sure to leave a review, go visit her website, make sure you get on her newsletter and take up that free consultation offer. And we will see you on the next episode of the Rocking Midlife Podcast.